On February 13, 2010, a Japanese kindergarten teacher posted a few photos on her blog of a rescued Shiba Inu named Kabosu. It was intended as a casual share, but it resulted in a legend in the history of the crypto circle and created the greatest leader in the meme coin world. That's right, that dog was the prototype for Doge, and that teacher was Atsuko Sato, whom netizens respect dearly. 14 years later, on May 24, 2024, this most famous dog in the crypto world passed away peacefully at the age of 18. For humans, 18 is the prime of youth like a flower, but for a dog it is a long life. For the global crypto community and internet users, Kabosu's departure was not just the loss of a pet, it marked the end of an era for a cultural symbol. Her departure triggered widespread mourning in the crypto community, but at the same time it left behind a potential opportunity. Doge has passed, but crypto continues. Which narrative would take over her legendary mantle? Just as whenever a celebrity posts a picture of an animal now, a pile of people ask for its name in the comments. As the leader of memes, what heights would the successor of Doge reach? For instance, regarding the sensational squirrel peanut matter, Elon Musk voiced his support on X Twitter and shared his perspective during an interview. This action foreshadowed the later surge of the NUT cryptocurrency token. Let's watch the related video.
Yeah. Like the fucking squirrel has an ideology. It's a cute little fluffy squirrel.
Exactly.
Well, it's a nice symbol because most like reasonable, compassionate people think that's terrible, and most people who have pets think it's terrible.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm like, I hope people just go out there and vote for Peanut, man. If nothing else, just vote for Peanut. You know.
They've done such a.
On July 27, 2024, a few months after Kabosu passed away, Kabosu Mama announced on social media that she had adopted a new 10-year-old rescue Shiba Inu and chose to name it Neiro, which means tone or timber in Japanese. This single piece of news instantly detonated the meme coin market. After the announcement, token launch teams across all chains fired on all cylinders, scrambling to issue coins named Neiro. Dozens of coins with the same name might have been issued instantly, but in terms of scale, only for eventually performed reasonably well. The first shot was fired by the fastest chain, Solana, which produced two representatives. The first on the chain was named Neiro uppercase. Although it was the earliest launched, its market cap wasn't very high initially, hovering around a few million. In contrast, another one named Neiro lowercase, though launched later, saw its market cap skyrocket to nearly $100 million. The question arose between the two Neiros, which is the orthodox Neiro token. Is it based on timing, or market cap? The market argued incessantly. Big capital certainly preferred the larger market cap, so a mass of players rushed into the lowercase one. However, another group of players insisted that the OG original was the orthodox one, and only the first one counted as the original version. As the market cap fluctuated and rose, the voices of doubt grew louder. Many people stood up to point out that the lowercase one was the second launched and wasn't genuine. The uppercase one should be chosen because it was truly first. At this moment, a key turning point arrived. Dansom entered the chat. It is rare to see him show call orders these days, but on July 28, he posted the CI contract address multiple times in a row, emphasizing that the first uppercase Neiro was the orthodox one. He even joined our spaces. As a top-tier KOL, this behavior directly crashed the high market cap lowercase Neiro. Massive amounts of capital dumped and left, rotating into Neiro uppercase. The result was the originally $100 meters Neiro crashing to $20 meters, while the $5 meters Neiro pumped to $20 meters. Subsequently, the two Neiros chased each other, rising and falling in turn. What is this called? Exactly what I mentioned 2 days ago: fragmentation. Then, both sides began hurling abuse and accusations, while also furiously blasting Ansem, accusing him of missing out on Neiro chips, feeling unhappy, and choosing to support Neiro out of selfishness, etc. From the start of the token launch, a copyright issue existed. Kabosu Mama refused to endorse any Neiro coin, focusing only on projects in collaboration with the Doge.io. This was a potential risk. While these two Neiros fought inextricably, the token launch group was still working overtime. Various new Neiro series coins continued to emerge, mostly on the Solana chain. Everyone was already confused about Neiro's orthodoxy, and now they were speechless. People began switching between different new targets. Of course, some got rich overnight, but others bought the wrong ones and went to zero. According to tweet records from that time, many people bought the wrong token because the names were similar, missing the pump or even getting scammed. After a weekend of slaughter, this debate finally stabilized uppercase Neiro continued to pull up to $70 meters, while the lowercase Neiro, which had broken $100 meters, eventually trended toward $10 meters. It seemed like the uppercase won, but in reality both sides suffered. This flip-flopping state severely hit player enthusiasm. The final result was direct. The heat for Neiro on the Solana chain gradually vanished. Whether uppercase or lowercase, market caps continued to fall until they neared zero. An episode the lowercase Neiro on Sol was exposed as a rug pull. The devs spent $3 SOL and cashed out over $3 million. This was one of the major causes of the collapse and laid the groundwork for the subsequent crash of Neiro on Ethereum. Migration to Ethereum. Just as the heat for Neiro on Solana dissipated, some began turning to Ethereum. After all, Ether remains the base camp for OG memes. Everyone thought Ethereum wouldn't be that chaotic, right? But upon arrival, they discovered it was a mess. The chaos was even worse than on Sol. There were also the prominent ones on Ether at the time, also distinguished by uppercase and lowercase. The distinction was that the earlier one was called Neiro CTO, and the later one was called Neiro ETH. For convenience, I will refer to them as the CTO version lowercase and the ETH version uppercase. Note, however, that neither of these was strictly the first. Although the CTO version is called first Neiro on Ethereum, strictly speaking, the first was first Neiro token. Where is the issue? This first and the CTO version were born in the same block. First Neiro token was deployed first, being the 18th transaction in the block, while the CTO version was the 20th transaction. However, relying on financial strength to pump the price, the CTO version completely suppressed the heat of first Neiro token. Although some netizens tweeted arguments regarding the legitimacy of the first one, including criticizing the malicious competitive behavior of the CTO community, such as smearing the first Neiro token community, botting replies, etc. Due to the massive disparity in market cap, the first one only reached a max of $2 meters. Few people noticed this coin, and it eventually faded away. Consequently, in subsequent promotions, the CTO version always styled itself as the first Neiro on Ethereum, and everyone tacitly accepted this. This counts as the first controversy. It didn't cause much noise or have a major impact. First, the CTO version. This coin had someone responsible for operations at opening. It was an owned project. In the early stages, the developer held powers over the contract owner, tax rates, and limits, so it was initially developer-centric. However, shortly after, under immense pressure from disputes and public opinion, the developer abandoned the project and left. The price crashed 90% instantly. This involved panic selling and likely the developer dumping, leading to a deadlock. However, the community subsequently confirmed the developer had relinquished power, so they took over project affairs. From then on, it achieved the true CTO community takeover and established an on-profit Neiro Community Foundation. At this time, the CTO version's market cap went sideways around $20 meters. The CTO version sent approximately 4% of the tokens to Vitalik, but Aaron V. God. On August 15, V. God donated the tokens to an animal charity fund supported by CTO, endowing the CTO version with top-tier credibility backing, though it also attracted some skepticism. On September 6, Just Sun tweeted that HTX should list Neiro CTO, and it was listed the next day. Looking at the ETH version of Neiro, it was a typical owner-less project. It renounced all permissions at the open with no one responsible for operations, driven purely by community members. However, its problem lay in bundling. Analysts warned that about 80% of the supply was bought by the same batch of addresses and quickly transferred into hundreds of small wallets. However, while the bundling was real, the pump was also real. Within days of opening, the market cap shot straight to $350 meters, crushing the CTO version with absolute dominance. During this period, the community was divided. Some said dealer control was good for price manipulation, others believed too much bundling would lead to a collapse. As time passed, the doubts proved true. After touching the $350 meters high, it crashed all the way down without any rebound, reaching $20 meters, a drop of 95%. At this point, its market cap was nearly identical to the CTO version. After the ETH version crashed, the community didn't completely give up and decided to buy the dip again. Accompanied by news of an imminent Binance futures listing, it pumped wildly again, rebounding from $20 meters to $200 meters in 7 days, once again standing in a dominant position. In contrast, the CTO version still looked half dead, hovering between $10-20 meters with no news. Comparing the two $200 meters versus $20 meters, plus the ETH version already had futures listed while the CTO version had nothing. Looking at it this way, the winner seemed decided, right? But barring accidents, an accident happened. The maximum turning point, September 16, Binance announcement. Binance announced the listing of spot trading for the CTO version. The CTO version pumped in response, going from $15 meters directly to nearly $200 meters that day, and rushing to $400 meters within 3 days. It marched forward triumphantly. Binance spot is just that powerful. On the other side, the ETH version was in an incredibly awkward position. It was already listed on futures and had a $200 meters market cap. A spot listing was expected by everyone. Yet, it was preempted by the CTO version. This triggered a massive sell-off. That day saw the largest trading volume in the ETH version's history, as it fell from $130 meters to $70 meters, nearly halving. The CTO version got better and better thereafter, while the ETH version walked toward decline. On the third day after the CTO version announced its listing, the ETH version welcomed a heavyweight player, a person who made $150 million on SHIB, bought $2.30 million worth of the ETH version Neiro. This triggered significant attention. Could he reverse the defeat? Clearly not. 20 days later, this top player cut his losses, halved and left, swapping positions to buy the CTO version. This event became the symbol of the complete shift in market consensus. In other words, the ETH version really had no hope left. However, alongside the massive dumping, there were countless doubts why list a coin with only a $15 meters market cap and skip the $200 meters one. This severely disrupted the market. Rumors circulated that Binance insiders had bought a large amount of chips to realize a listing pump and dump. The storm was noisy. The founder of Singapore fund Block Infinity even threatened on social media to release information on Binance personnel, alleging corruption. Onitas, founder of Orb.io, criticized Binance for listing a corporate meme coin with the near $15 meters market cap, calling it a mockery of thousands of grassroots community projects. There were many such criticisms, but eventually it settled. Writing this reminds me, Palu, listing on Alpha at $3 meters. Isn't this just a replica of Neiro? He Yi, the co-founder of Binance, she published a long article on Binance Square titled, "If We Disagree, You're Probably Right," explaining the Neiro situation. They listed Neiro CTO because it better aligned with the meme concept of decentralization, low market cap start, and community-decided outcome, rather than the type where the price is pre-pumped and holdings are highly concentrated. The history of Neiro displays the issue of fragmentation vividly. From the start on the Solana chain, where Neiro, Bro, Pump, and Neiro all fought each other, two later derivatives of massive Neiro memes, the entire market fell into endless chaos. Players switched back and forth between numerous targets, suffering heavy losses and draining massive energy and money, eventually forcing players to turn to Ethereum. But Ethereum also had serious fragmentation issues. Leaving aside the true first Neiro, just the conflict between the CTO and ETH versions sparked countless contradictions and arguments. The CTO developer abandoned the project versus the ETH version's massive bundling. Of course, the most serious issue was Binance listing the CTO version. This event triggered the biggest conflict in the entire Neiro community because the ETH version had an absolute asymmetrical advantage, yet was preempted by the CTO version. Furthermore, the market cap was too low. It was exaggerated. exaggerated to the point that it was the lowest market cap spot listing for a meme coin in Binance history, bar none. Naturally, this triggered countless doubts and abuse. In April 2025, the Neiro CTO project welcomed the most significant milestone in its history through cooperation with the Doge decentralized, autonomous organization DA. It officially obtained the global exclusive intellectual property IP license for the Neiro name and image from Kabosu Mama herself, becoming the only legal successor to the legendary Doge meme. The most direct impact of this was that the Neiro CTO project's legal team issued copyright infringement notices to major exchanges, demanding the delisting of all unauthorized Neiro token contracts. The target was essentially just one Neiro ETH. Although it wasn't on Binance Spot, it was on various Tier 2 exchanges and Binance Futures. Major exchanges responded quickly, successively announcing the delisting of infringing Neiro perpetual contracts or spot trading pairs. With this, Neiro ETH was completely finished. After listing on Binance, Neiro CTO moved with almost destructive momentum, constantly breaking new highs. Finally, on November 12, 2024, it reached its historical peak $1.30 billion, becoming the sixth-ranked meme by market cap, second only to SHIB, Doge, PE, FLOKI, BONK, and WIF. Although times have changed and it is no longer in the absolute frontline meme series, it has left a heavy mark on the history of meme coin development. Among the meme coin histories I have written, Neiro is the most special. It has no special cultural narrative, the scale of its charity work is not large, and as for memeing jokes, there aren't any. The only special point is Doge's successor. Its entire history is filled with infighting between multiple Neiro communities, from Sol to ETH, and even on other chains, though this text only listed 5, there were massive amounts of same name and derivative Neiros. Looking back at tweets from that time, they are full of abuse, accusations, complaints, and even legal confrontations, eventually producing this Neiro CTO. Before the listing, it was neither the true first Neiro nor the highest market cap Neiro. It was even a developer-abandoned meme. But it got the spot listing and at a historical low market cap. Standing from the perspective of that time, no one could have predicted the subsequent events, including that SHIB whale who made $150 million. Will there be extreme fragmentation situations like Neiro in the future market? I don't know. But if it happens, it will certainly set off a huge struggle again, which is all harm and no benefit to the market and players.